Hello, welcome everybody. Before I come back, let's go ahead and play this trailer for the upcoming Starbeams conference. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Neil with Portal to Ascension. Glad to be here with you all once again. If you've been tuning in today, we were on the Galactic Origins panel a couple hours ago, and we're about to go into and experience the Ascension panel. And then in a few hours from now, we have the Extraterrestrial Experiencer panel. And the reason why we're doing these panels is because tomorrow is the Ultimate Starbeams Conference. And if you're watching this in the future, then I'm talking about a few days ago was the Ultimate Starbeams Conference. However, it's an evergreen event. It's timeless. So you can go ahead and in every single place where you connect with Portal to Ascension, we have the link in the description, in the comments pinned, in our bio on Instagram, and on our website under upcoming events. Go ahead and tune in there because what we're going to be experiencing is 4 days, 8 to 9 hours a day of moving the conversation to the messages from the stars rather than what is that light in the sky? Is this some sort of advanced weapon from China? Moving it into really the understanding that we're not alone in the universe, something that's going to be the norm, what's going to be accepted by all of society in the near future. Pretty soon, every child, if not even right now, is going to be born into a world where they're raised with not the possibility, but the knowing that we're not alone in the universe. So it's important for us to move it from a fear perspective into really expansion of consciousness. What does this mean for us and what is happening on this planet? How are we connected to the stars? So we're doing panels today in order to have these conversations and discussions from the speakers that will be at the Ultimate Starbeams Conference. And we'd love for you to be a part of this event. We're going to be live on all these channels we're live on right now. We're live on Seeking Heaven, Tamara's channel, Joan of Angels, New Realities, Portal to Ascension, and our Instagram as well, and some other platforms. So if you're interested in signing up and being part of the webinar room, go to portaltoascension.org and you can sign up there. And let's get as many people as possible because this isn't just an event, a conference. This is us as beacons of frequency. We receive the information, the awareness, we tap into it together, we meditate and send it out into the universe to actualize this reality of true harmonic disclosure of many things when it comes to the fact that we're not alone in the universe and what that means for humanity. So check it out there. And so now I'm just going to segue right into the panel today. I'm going to go ahead and bring Debra Giusti on. And Debra has been, she's done every Ascension panel that we've had on Portal to Ascension since 2018. And she's been one of the biggest supporters for Portal to Ascension. She's one of, I would say, a pioneer in this awareness, not only really being here in the beginning of the evolution of this awareness of field to where we are now, but also supporting so many practitioners, so many presenters and researchers that are not only, starting out trying to get their awareness out to the masses, but also some of the real big cornerstones, people that are the cornerstones of this movement. She's been assisting, in the background for most of the time, but now also in the foreground to really help people get this awareness out to many, many, more people in the world so that we can actually make some positive shifts. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Debra on now, and then we'll get into the panel. Hey, Debra, welcome.
Hello, Neil, and welcome everyone to what's going to be an amazing panel as we're going to do a deep dive into my favorite topic, which is the personal and planetary ascension that's taking place on the planet right now. And with this panel, it's going to be very special because we're going to discuss it within the frame of the dynamic support of our galactic star families, because they're very much involved in the ascension process as well. And isn't this amazing times? I'm actually really excited, even though there's so much chaos, so much dysfunction going on. These are really evolutionary times. And if you're listening to this panel now, you've got a head start because you understand the incredible evolution that's taking place on the world right now. Not only is disclosure and general acceptance of the awareness of our star families at an all-time high, but it's primed to continue to escalate so that at some point it's going to be an accepted understanding in our mainstream humanity, and potentially in our lifetime, as it has been with other ancient lifetimes, we can evolve to consciously participate and interact with our galactic community. So I'm going to give an overview here, and before we start the panel, and as we experienced in 2020 with the pandemic, the world went into lockdown, but I call it a global spiritual inquiry and retreat, because really the whole world shut down, got to look at themselves and go into an accelerated spiritual process of really beginning the awakening. And what we also experienced was unprecedented planetary shifts and tremendous upheavals, which we're still experiencing, and the escalation of disclosure and mass exposure to hidden truths, such as mass UFO phenomenon, and also the dysfunction in our society and governments coming up to the surface, and also understanding ancient civilizations had more knowledge and technology than we presently have, and so much more. So what has really happened, it's triggered a global healing crisis. So everything that is dysfunctional comes up to the surface, everything that is not of the higher vibration that we're evolving towards comes up to be revealed, and then it can be healed. And so it's just like a personal healing crisis where all the toxins come up to the surface and you feel extremely sick at that stage. So that's what society is going through now. And we call this the purification phase. And this is really necessary for the process of ascension. And as below, as above, so below, what's happening on the planet is happening internally in all of us because it's all interconnected. So we have this opportunity for our personal ascension. And if you haven't noticed, a lot of what is dysfunction in your life comes up right in your face to be revealed and healed. And that's the process we're all in right now as we evolve towards the next stage of becoming the divine human in the new earth. So I want to set a context briefly of what we mean by ascension, because a lot of times people hear that word and it conjures up so many various ideas of how it's used before. So I'll give a basic definition, and the panelists are going to go very deep into this for you. But what I see is ascension is an accelerated spiritual process that's currently taking place within all planetary life forms at this specific cosmic evolutionary cycle. Within us, it's a step-by-step process of spiritual awakening, and it results as an up-leveling into the higher dimensional existence in quantum consciousness. There's a gradual healing and clearing of dense trauma, ancestral patterning, activation of the light body, and you evolve into what is called fifth dimensional or higher dimensional frequencies, and you cultivate a clear connection with your higher self, and you experience deep soul embodiment. What we're talking about is coming and living and manifesting in a state of oneness. So we've all heard that. So what does a planetary ascension mean? So what we're talking about is this incredible time where many planetary cycles within planetary cycles are happening right now. And this has been prophesied for so many in so many religions, spiritual traditions, mystics, prophets, as a revealing of humanity's evolution into the new earth. Some people call it the second coming of Christ, the golden age, rainbow prophecy, age of Aquarius. And many star seeds have come to the planet now. Light leaders, angelics are all here now to assist us. So the good thing is that in the last 3 years, with all this chaos, millions of people have woken up all over the world. And I see this, and everywhere I go, there's more and more people waking up to their divine inheritance and going on the ascension path. So really, and this is a time when star families are coming closer and closer to us to assist us. So it's really showtime. And if you are incarnated now and you got a ticket to be on Mother Earth right now, you really lucked out, because this is a time when so many souls want to be on the planet now. And again, many of the star families are here to help. And we're so fortunate today that we have an esteemed panel to really dive deep and to understand even more what this ascension planet process is, what the planetary ascension is, and how the star family is here to support it. Who are they and what is their role? So now I want to bring on some of the panelists and start asking some questions. So these are people that I love and adore. They've been on the path and they are here to serve. Their whole life is about service and service to the awakening. So I'll introduce them one by one. And I want to start out with the first question. Can you give me your overview of what you experience the ascension process to be, personal, planetary, and how the galactics interface with that? And I know a lot of you have had some experience directly with the galactics. So I'd love to know, go deeper dive into what is this ascension process. People, mainstream people look and say everything's falling apart, but actually I'm really excited because I think we're building to the next level. And so I want to instill that awareness and hope and consciousness. So I want to start out with Sandra Walter, because she is one of the ascension teachers that's been around for a long time. I know in 2012, when I did another level of my own awakening, I looked for all the ascension teachers and not many were there, but Sandra was there. She was there and she was figuring out next levels of what's happening, because everything's been evolving and evolving and evolving. And she stays on the cutting edge. She's an ascension guide. She's a way shower. She has many courses and articles. She has a whole online community where she does retreats and ongoing meditations. She's always on the cutting edge. And some people don't know she's very connected with the galactics as well, as part of understanding their role. So Sandra, I want to bring you on and just have you give us your understanding of what's going on with the personal and planetary ascension and our galactic families.
Oh, thank you so much, sister. Blessings, everyone. My goodness, the ascension process, I suppose I should start. I've been an ascension guide in service since 1999. So I've been able to kind of watch and track the ascension process and all the changes that the process itself goes through. And just to be clear, when it comes to whether or not you believe in galactics, it's not really applicable to this conversation. We literally would not be having the ascension conversation without the interaction or connection with our star family and all the channels and all the information that has been given throughout thousands and thousands of years about this time in our collective evolution and our collective ascension, where we would go through a transformational process that would take us from carbon-based to carbon silica and into a silica-based structure. And it literally is just a way to allow more of your spirit and pure source consciousness and actual light intelligence to exist in the form and then transform these realities together. So we learn how to be creator beings again. We learn how to open our heart and recalibrate the DNA. We learn how to embody unity consciousness again. And that process, like I had contact since I was a child, and that process is a timeline experience, multiple timeline experiences, that the more we shed the density and the more just cosmic light coming from without and coming from within through Gaia, it actually changes our perception. And of course, a lot more of our beingness exists in spirit than it does in form. So all of a sudden you start getting this expansive experience of being a lot more larger, having a lot more information, than in the past. And that in itself is a huge part of this ascension process that we're all going through. Gaia on the trajectory of becoming a spiritual sun. There's a lot going on at the same time, but our personal ascension experience can reflect the larger cosmic operation of ascension throughout this process.
Wow, thank you, Sandra. And what is your experience with the galactics? Can you say a little bit about the galactic connection in this ascension process?
Sure. Well, I've had a connection with my star family since I was very young. However, the more expanded that I get, and the more that I actually embody my I am presence, or my highest self, or this Christed self and this Christed heart, the more you can see the kind of fractal nature of peering through this beautiful fractal, the source that all of us are, and kind of seeing other realms, other time periods, other expressions as just part of the unified self. So it ends the separation between us and the galactics, and the people who have like a pure contact experience or a direct conduit experience start having the experience of, oh, I am just talking to other aspects of myself. And that's going to be important as we walk through this period where a lot of lower agendas or miscreations kind of get exposed and dissolve rather quickly. But we're all very mindful of the different expressions that have been portraying parts of our consciousness that were there to serve certain timelines that are now going away. So my experience is with stars directly, being a gatekeeper, a star gatekeeper. So I actually experienced star consciousness as a presence, as well as the beings that use that energy to kind of create a reality or create a planetary consciousness or realms like what we exist in right now.
Beautiful.
Oh, we lost you, Debra.
Okay, thank you for that overview. And thank you for laying the groundwork of this very vast experience and subject. And now I want to invite Acurda Melchizedek on. You have also been an incredible way shower, just spearheading the consciousness around DNA and ascension. She teaches people how to access genetic information in their holographic blueprints to live at their highest potential. And you as well have been doing this work forever and definitely on mission to evolve our consciousness to understand how the DNA is such an important part of the ascension process. So I'd love to know how you explain this expanded evolutionary accelerated process we're going through now, and any relationship you can share with us of the galactics.
Thank you so much. It's such a great honor to be here and to speak for a greater genetic collective and a genetic inheritance that I think a lot of us have already tapped into. So thank you so much for all of this. And about 9 years ago, I had an experience with a group of beings that came and basically showed me how to rewrite my DNA. And so showed me that the layers of the DNA and what we call strands of DNA each have a conscious pattern to the way that we incarnate, the way that we conduct matter, innate matter, have a physical body, have a physical presence, and have a multidimensional presence. So the way that I was shown was how to go directly into the strands of DNA and basically clear any types of blockages that there are, any types of densities that there are. And what I figured out, the way that density is that we have infinite potential and possibility at all times. And when we're creating at the highest, we expand that infinite potential and possibility. But when we believe in something that is more than ourself, that we give our power away, we believe in something that's not true, what happens is we start to collapse timelines. We start to collapse and it becomes density, dense, rich. So this is where that density that people feel comes from. It's collapsing the multidimensional choice points into one point that then closes for us to go back and then open back up to accentuate again the glory of who we are and the truth of who we are. So one of the things that I'd like to talk about, which I love that Sandra said, are galactic inheritance, because I do feel that we have a galactic inheritance. And one of the things that I've been exploring right now is this aspect of mitochondrial DNA. And what this really means is about us being attached to stars, like we are creating the stars, our consciousness is the same, but the word constellation actually means is not so much about stars, but a constant instellation. So a constant in stars through our body. So when we think of photons of light through the body or the light body, that this is actually a stellar concept. The stars that we are communicating with and that we are creating are actually coming and connecting into a corridor of experience. So if you think of it as like a tuning mechanism that starts happening, right? The tuning becomes like a sonar of a soulscape from star to star, and that becomes like the way that we have teleportation and also telecommunication with other beings. So this is how we are really communicating, is this stellar aspect, this stellation of consciousness through the body, through our genetics, with stars and other planetary collectives.
Wow. Thank you so much for expanding our consciousness, our knowledge, and our reality of what we're going to be involved in more and more as we go on this path. And that is going to become part of our knowledge base of how to function in the universe. That's incredible.
Debra, before you continue, just want to jump in here. Just a logistical thing. There's a little feedback from your microphone. So after you ask the question, if you can mute Debra, we'll stop the feedback.
Okay, great. So I'd like to bring Phil on now. Phil is another one of those beings who's been on the evolutionary path forever. He's knowledgeable about so many things. He is known worldwide as a planet's foremost teacher of sacred geometry, of light language, of the Indigo Children, the Magdalene Mysteries, advanced healing system, cosmic history. Almost anything you ask him, he can pull out of his brain and I think the whole Akashic records to access the knowledge. So Phil, can you share with us your viewpoint of what's going on with this accelerated evolutionary process happen now and our connection with the galactics?
Sure. First, a little disclaimer. I wear a denture on top, a full denture. The moral of that story is snowboarding and heavily tripping on psychedelics is it's a little risky. That's how I lost a lot of my front teeth. So that's the moral of that story. And my denture got accidentally thrown in the garbage the other day. So I think I look kind of elfin though, without that top thing. So it hurts a little bit. I'll do the best I can though. This panel, the vibe is just so coherent and so wonderful, and to help balance this unbelievably divine feminine goddess energy. What a responsibility, let me tell you. But it's just beautiful. Thank you so much for inviting me on this panel. Throughout human evolution, interdimensional races have brought teachings to Earth in order to what? To influence and direct the course of evolution, Earth human evolution. I like to start with sort of like the larger context and then move it into our individual role in the ascension process. We believe that there are 3 primary interdimensional visitor races involved with pre-ancient human culture. These 3 races collectively are known as the Brennau, and they are collectives gestalts from what we call harmonic universes 4 and 5. These are dimensions 10, 11, and 12, the avatars, the Buddhas, Christed ones. and density 5, dimensions 13 and 14 and 15, known collectively as the Rishi. These are beings of pure light, pure radiation. These three Brenau orders are the three founders races that seeded life into our time matrix and this is just the last seeding of life into our time matrix 950 billion years ago. 13.7 billion years? I don't think so. The Brenau order races, we have, and when I say we, because we are them, they are us, we have multiple identities within this time matrix, within all the dimensions, within all the harmonic universe. So when we talk about our galactic family, it is our galactic family. It is us. It is the higher, more expanded, more evolved versions of ourselves, like the Russian dolls. It's this. Our ascension process has to do with integrating, with expanding. So we integrate the parts of ourselves, the identities that exist in the higher dimensions. It's a perfectly natural process. We were created in order to ascend during these time cycles. And the fact is that these Brenau orders, we have visited our future selves, visited humanity during many different time cycles. Why? In an attempt to keep the history of humanity's original creation contract and our purposes and our intended evolutionary destiny alive and well within the Earth human races. And this original co-creation or co-evolution agreement made between these higher races in seeding our time matrix, we believe was called the Emerald Covenant. And I'll tell you, if you read The Wizard of Oz with an understanding that L. Frank Baum was a confirmed theosophist and had joined the Ramayana sect of the Theosophical Society 8 years before he wrote The Wizard of Oz, when you read it, when you even watch the movie, but especially read the book with that context, it's unbelievable. That original Emerald Covenant made 950 billion years ago was among these density 5 Brenau orders. And in this agreement, agreed to create various founder races, elder races, to seed life into all the density levels of our time matrix. Why? To create peaceful co-evolution and ascension for all their stellar races. And it is these higher orders that were directly involved in the creation of the original angelic human lineage, I think around 560 million years ago, give or take. So it's important to understand, and what I'll finish this section with, that the original human design itself is of extraterrestrial or angelic nature, and that we originally inhabited what we believe is the second density dimensions 4, 5, and 6. In other words, we started out as an angelic race. Relative to the time fields of Earth, where we believe Earth is called Tara. In the 8th dimension, I believe we're called Gaia. And the Taran, T-A-R-A or T-A-R-A-N, original human is called the Turanusium. And Earth's humanity's stellar genetics, or our genetic heritage, and our reason for being, the evolutionary path of human consciousness, as Acurda alluded to, and Sandra, all of us ultimately understand it's going to be found, the memory, the history, the love, the greater love, the love that knows no earthly bounds is going to be found in our DNA. In the DNA, in the strands, in the substrands, the standing wave templates that make up the blueprint for human DNA. So just to finish this part, that in the Earth human lineage, that known as the Adam Kadmon or the Adumi Kudmon, there were 7 root races, 5 what we call cloister races that were seeded. Each root race evolutionary cycle developed one of the first 5 DNA strands. And the cloister races, of which the indigos, of which many of, if not all of us, are the latest restatement of, carried the 7th through the 12th DNA strands corresponding to the higher density systems. Root race incarnates are called the earth seeds. This is mainly for Luminosity, who she's an earth seed for sure. And the cloister races incarnates are called the star seeds. And all of us here collectively, we're here to keep that original, quote unquote, 12-strand DNA template alive within the Earth human gene pool, because full ascension requires that we activate the DNA that's still in most of it in a state of dormancy. And that represents the advanced stages of human evolution. So there's a lot to, quote unquote, unpack here, but this is what I think we're all here to do. We all have a part in this to play. We're all in this together, you know. And I think it's just an amazing thing that through Portal Ascension, Debra, through your work, all of us, that we managed to find each other in this world and come together in the panels, in the workshops, in the retreats and everything like that. So I really do think that all of us, not just all of us on this panel, we are the revealing vehicles through which God will express itself, the fullness of itself in our time, that in our lives we will see the full revelation and realization of ourselves and the Christos. Thanks so much for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Phil. That was beautiful. Really incredible overview and understanding our lineage at a really deep level. So resonate with all that you shared. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now I want to bring on an incredible, multi-talented, multi-gifted, I would say super goddess, Tamara Richardson. She's had 6 near-death experiences. She's an angelic Syrian messenger. She's an ultra-dimensional channeler. She's the Southern Bell medium. She also directs the Academy of Divine Wisdom, Ascension School. So multi-talented. So she has a huge perspective, experience overview of what is happening within us personally and within the planet. So I'd love to look from your lens, Tamara, and see what you see is happening on this planet right now, on the planet and within us and with our galactic star families. And you're muted. Thanks. Okay. All right, they took her up. Okay, I'm sure she'll be back. We love you, Tamara. She must have had something really important to say. Okay.
Send them in real time there.
Okay, Neil's bouncing around too. Okay. Here we go. So let's go to Joan, and I'm sure Tamara will be back. But our last panelist is Joan of Angels. And you can understand from that name what she's about. She has very direct connection with the angelic realm, which obviously is really connected with our ascension process. What's really special at her is that she became an incredible artist in her life, not originally, but this is something that was transmitted to her. And she does incredible soul portrait art for people and does art of dimensional realms and higher dimensional beings. It's just incredible. So she has huge access to the multidimensional realms. And Joan, I know you've done a lot of health work. You've been a health chiropractor, health practitioner, done tons of personal growth. So you've seen everything, as well as a lot of us over the last many years. So again, we'd love to hear from you, your experience of the personal ascension process, the planetary, and our connection with our star family.
You're muted, Joan.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to thank everyone. Debra, I want to thank you. I want to thank all of you guys for everything that I was hearing. And that really is raising the excitement level. So when I feel into ascension, I feel into this excitement of unlimited potential, unlimited possibilities. And I literally tingle. I'm sitting here tingling now. And Acurda, you were mentioning how we review the DNA. And I saw this picture of the old-fashioned, if you remember the old-fashioned films, you know, they were like done differently to edit them. They were real films.
Right.
And I was imagining like Spirit, I was imagining Spirit just looking at this film as it's going through and cutting out pieces of the DNA and editing it. And it was such an amazing visual that I just had to share that. Just to me, that's what Ascension is. Ascension is a process where we raise our frequency. And Debra asked me, well, how does that relate to my years as a chiropractor? Every adjustment I ever performed, I would finish it with, we've just turned on your power. We've turned on your power. And recently I realized that in every session I do, any of my coaching or readings, I end the session with, we've turned on your power. It was kind of funny because I was trying to say, well, how does my chiropractic and all this work together? Everything I do is Ascension based. It's to turn up our frequency. And I had this experience several years ago. I had a regression about my past life, my ET contact rather. And I found myself on a ship. I was living in Baja when this experience happened. There were 6, those clouds, those UFO clouds that were above and never moved. They'd come out all day. They'd stare down. And I would wonder what was in them. And I had this regression because I said, well, what was going on there? And apparently every night they were bringing me up into the ship. And on the ship, all the members of my group, my Baja Paranormal group, were sound asleep on the ship. And I was on the podium. And what was I doing? I was literally turning up every person's power, raising their frequency. And there's a chiropractic adjustment that you could do to do this, which literally opens up the channel for meditation. So the next thing this particular ET being said to me was, well, your job here on the planet is to raise everyone's vibration. Made a commitment not to leave the planet till everyone's vibrational frequency was attuned and higher. And so when I think of Ascension, I think of how do we turn up our vibrations, turn up our power in order to align with these higher beings. When I was getting ready for today, I created a series of screensavers today, just to do it. And I saw this painting I hadn't seen in a while. And it was like, they wanted to be here with us. Why? Because when each of you on the panel or at home are watching and you see these angelic beings in the physicality, they allow us to know that they're right there in the other dimensional realms. And so the work I create, and I don't create it, the work I bring through me is all about accessing these other dimensional realms. And you might say, well, what good is that? Because the higher we raise our frequency and align with these higher beings, then the more we are ascending. And the more I ascend, Sandra ascends, Phil ascends, the more we raise our vibration, the more we filter that out, and it raises the vibration of everyone who's watching this and everyone who will be watching. And then it's a collective ascension. It's a collective activation that we're providing now. So that's my short take on ascension. I'm glad you asked.
Thank you, Joan. Beautiful, passionate, as you always are. I love that. So thank you so much. And so great to have Tamara back, because again, as I was sharing, she's an amazing woman, so multi-talented, has her fingers in so many incredible gifts to the planet. So I'd love to know what you see from your lens, Tamara.
Thank you. Let's do this again. I think what happened is Neil was streaming on my channel, which is great. But it knocked me off, but I'm back. It's all good because it all works out. First of all, it's wonderful to see everyone here. Beautiful, beautiful beings. I look forward to getting to know you, the ones that I don't know. And thank you for having me here. So it's funny because you were asking about personal and planetary ascension. What's my process? What have I experienced? And what I was going to tell you, I canned it just now because I want to say something different. I want to say something more from the heart. is because I want to talk to the people that are watching, and probably many of you that are here, is going on this spiritual unfoldment has not been easy. It's been extremely rewarding, but it's not been easy. And I can remember early on being different and not in the box. But I think that's been my message all along, is to tell people to get out of the box. And the example is funny. Phil used, I couldn't, I was like, oh my gosh, I use the Russian doll example all the time. And then way down below was the soul. And so mentioning my 6 near-death experiences, and people are curious about that. And what does that have to do with ascension? There's many different ways that you can get to ascension, and it's work. Okay, it's actual spiritual maturity. You can do that through Kundalini, deep meditation, really just engaging and throwing yourself in, and in programs like this. But for me, I remember early on being in prenatal, being spirit, and my mom wasn't quite delivering me. She was bleeding, and I was hanging out as a spirit, and I just felt nothing but love and empathy for her. And each time I had my near-death experiences, I would go to a different level of not only consciousness, but of dimension. And so it was important that I did that so I would not forget who I was, which was a celestial hybrid. I've always had the hardest time being a human, because I always say pain sucks. Don't these bodies, they're a lot of work. But it's been a journey. All of that is just one way, and it just got me to deeper levels. And I guess I wanted to fast track it. The good news, you can slow track it, fast track it, whatever comfort level that you want your spiritual progress. But I saw mine through the many near-death experiences. I've been talking to spirit people since 3rd grade. Now I'm talking frequently with what I would call ultra-dimensionals, which are not necessarily, I have nothing against them. I like talking to everybody. I'll talk to ETs too, but they're more of the higher level beings of the higher dimensions and so forth. And some of those might be perceived as angels, but they could also just as easily be Palladian. They could be an Elohim. So they started coming through describing who they are. So this was not in my playbook to to channel Astro of the Galactic Federation, which I'll do that Monday, as well as talk about some other things in my experience on the Galactic Federation. Didn't plan all that, but what, we have forgetter implants in us, that we have forgotten who we are. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that's a true datum. And so we need to remember who we are. And part of that is taking the fear that may exist. We may not think we have it, but it may be there, and remove the dogmas. Sometimes we become very attached to these dogmas because they've served us for so long, and just be willing to be a nothingness. And that's enough. And to be able to ask questions. And when you have that passion, what is it? The purity to seek answers. You see the face of God. I didn't say that exactly right, but the point is, my heart wanted this. And so people have different paths and so forth, but it's helped me to develop a lot of spiritual gifts. I do light code activation. I channeled how to build a Stargate for one of my clients who's a scientist who finished Einstein's work. I've done stuff. I've talked and spoken in different languages that I didn't understand with the other person. What I'm telling you is, don't limit yourself. You have no idea on your journey where it's going to go. So with mine has been like that. And my teacher, one of my NDEs, when I was 5, and I was dead for 2 hours of pneumonia. Trust me, I was having a blast in spirit form. It looked really grim, but I was having a blast. But they did cover me up with a sheet. They saw a breath, and one of the interns, and so they put me on an induced coma, and they put me in one of those clear things over the bed as a breathing machine. And while I was there, I spent it in these heavenly realms with Yeshua, who is my teacher. And he has many times come through and brought me Saint Germain, Metatron, Astro of the Galactic Federation. He was excited when I got my Merkabah. He said, all angels need their Merkabah. We don't just use it for travel. We can do it for a lot of things. And for multi-dimensional efforts and so forth. And so this has been exciting to me. I look at it as an exciting journey. the galactic's role in the ascension process, because it's not that I'm necessarily skeptical, but I guess I'm more hard-headed. I need evidence. So that's why I trained 8 years with some very well-known mediums and TV mediums and all this in the British style of evidential mediumship. So because I'm that way, they give me evidence. So I've gotten information from Astra about how they're disabling the nanobites and the chemtrails, and gave me scientific information. I flunked math and science, so even though I can tell you how to build a Stargate. And so, well, I was bored with it, number one, but that is evidential to me. So again, not limiting yourself. They've come through and shown me personally many times what they're doing and how they're a part of this. And they've also told me something really exciting. They said because there's been a nefarious effort toward depopulating humanity, don't know if you've heard of this, that they breached their contract. So they can get involved more than they have been. And so if anything, I'm not saying let's expect the cavalry. We are the cavalry, okay? But they're our family, and there may be times, especially coming up, that looks a little grim, but there's an amazing rainbow, and this is really exciting times. This is kind of like the initial statement Debra made. I agree with that. So they are doing things with removing warheads, the neutralizing things that are going on. They know what's happening. We're getting ready to have a technology unleashed on us with all the things that they can bring to our societies. How the full disclosure is going to happen, I don't know, but they're doing it right now through individuals such as the ones listening in here. So thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. That was beautiful and a very good overview of what we're experiencing. And yes, your life history is amazing. So what I want to do now is we have the opportunity to go really deep, because this is an audience who can really understand at high levels what's going on. So I'd like to go another level into what's coming up in the future. What do we have to look forward to? How are things going to shift? And go into some topics. And I know you can all talk about all kinds of things, but there is an evidence of the Earth really raising in frequency. And that's a big part of what the Ascension is about, as demonstrated by the Schumann resonance. And what about the solar flares that are happening? How does that affect everything? And the large solar flash that so many Ascension teachers and spiritual guides say is going to help transmute everything. Also, as Tamara mentioned, there's going to be a release of all kinds of new technologies and all kinds of ways of being at whole other levels. What is that going to look like? And also abilities that we know are available, like time travel, like heightened abilities of intuition and being able to remote view and bilocate, trilocate, all of that. And what is really morphing into this new Earth? What is this new Earth? Which is, the way I see it, is just our next stage of evolution, that a lot of the galactics are already operating in these frequencies, in these consciousness, in these ways, and they're helping us to come into this next level of divine human and new Earth. So maybe share with us things that aren't normally talked about that you have privy to because of your deep dive into your exploration of these topics. And again, I'm excited. Like, what is coming up? What do we have to look forward to? As well as everything destroying, what is going to take us into the future of existing in the oneness consciousness with our fellow humanity on the new Earth? So Sandra, do you want to dive in first again and address what you can share?
I'd love to. I want to share something that's happening with myself personally, because I think it's best to always speak from personal experience when it comes to trajectories or what's about to unfold, and really kind of drop into the heart consciousness or source informed consciousness, because we do have a lot of information and a lot of narrative sharing going on in the external right now. And that's simply witness to the amount of information that we're capable of receiving right now as a collective. So it does get quite accelerated, quite amplified as we walk through this passage. But specifically, a couple of years ago, higher levels had shared that embodiment was going to change everything. Embodiment of the I am presence, if you want to call it that, your highest aspect, was suddenly going to get reconnected. People who have recalibrated their heart, recalibrated their DNA, so suddenly you can hold that divine template, that divine pattern, enough that you start opening that conduit for that level of light consciousness, love, light, intelligence to come in. And suddenly you feel different. Your consciousness changes, the way you communicate changes. And it's taken me a couple of years since this happened to me, my presence activation, to not just integrate it. I don't feel it's something that can be fully integrated and then you say, okay, now I'm complete. I think it's ever expanding and infinite in the possibilities of what we are co-creating together. But a lot of people went through this experience and it started changing not just outcomes, but it started dissolving a lot of the past, a lot of the looping mechanisms that have been running on the planet for a long time. So suddenly you have a whole widespread activation of these divine human hearts, of these sacred hearts, of this divine crystalline DNA, the crystal heart, starting to happen. And it actually creates a little constellation itself, a little grid itself, that starts bringing in this energy. It naturally just flows out of you. So when we talk about the Christed state or the solar cosmic Christ, all the different narratives that we have and different descriptions for it, it's all talking about the same thing. Source returning into form in a new way that actually changes the realities and changes the outcomes. So even the narratives of grand solar flash, suddenly you're seeing it from a different perspective. I actually had that experience a couple of years ago of the solar flashing experience, and all the lower realities go away completely. And it felt like you were leaving the body, but we're still here. A lot of people had this experience simultaneously. So again, there are groups within the collective that are carrying out, right, their own mission and their own level of service, and it's never one group doing one thing and everybody else is off. It's not like that. It's all these different multidimensional, extraterrestrial, ultra-dimensional experiences starting to unify because of the cosmic light, because of where we are, right? All of a sudden, everything is starting to come into harmony. And yeah, there's a lot of clearing, a lot of throwing off of let's say, discarding uncomplimentary realities now. And if you don't focus on that, and if you focus on continuing this pursuit of divinity and purity and really understanding, understanding love, light, intelligence of your own heart, you start having a very different experience. And that level of perception and experience gives you a state of what I call divine neutrality. That was that channeling came in like 10 years ago. Divine neutrality is the way to walk through this, and you end up with this consistent connection to 0 point that auto corrects realities. Suddenly you'll find that miraculous state is pretty consistent. And you kind of hands off the wheel. You stop trying to direct and do the dense old steering of your own trajectory as well as the collectives. And you get this purified experience of unity consciousness, which then my relationship with star families, with higher orders of light, highest orders of light, becomes so intimate and so beautiful to me and so flawless and so effortless. It's, if anything, if we can bestow that gift upon others who are looking at all these other narratives presenting and getting worried about it, if that's the gift we can give, is this piece of all is well when you reconnect, right? All is well. Things will unfold now with such ease and grace, and the narratives that we're kind of flying through right now, effortless. it really becomes effortless. Yes, it's a different state of consciousness, but it's also very human. You know, when Phil was talking earlier about the angelic human, we always perceived angels as, being able to create miracles. And this is why it's just our natural state. When you feel that natural state starting to come in, wow, it really not just shifts your reality, but it shifts your relationship with unity consciousness itself, that state where we are now co-creating with star family, galactics, masters, all these different levels of consciousness that are truly part of us. And then the possibilities that open up when we practice unity consciousness consistently, wow, that's when it really takes off. That's why so many people are receiving. I see all these new technologies. I see all these new timelines unfolding. I see Gaia bursting into light. I see people bursting into light. That's why. It's simply we're co-creating highest outcomes with a brand new frequency that overwrites, and completely destroys all of the distortion. Really stepping into that acceleration now. And I love that state. It's so beautiful to witness. I'm very honored to witness it within my own journey and within the sisters and brothers that I'm walking with right now. It's quite glorious.
Wow, Sandra, that was amazing. That's really a bottom line explanation of what we should all be called to be aware of, because the world out there can take us all kinds of directions, but staying on the high vibe reality to where we're going with the ascension process and how you described it, so we can actually really understand and get it. Really beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah. So also, I'd like us to keep to 4 minutes because we have a couple more questions, if we can, within the next half an hour that we have together. And so, Acurda, so where can you take us with all the amazing, expansive knowledge that you have of what's coming up? And DNA is obviously a big part of what she was talking about in terms of advancing forward and being able to attain those states where you do create a miraculous reality around you all the time. So what can you share with us of
Absolutely. And I can resonate with so many people on this panel that I was a physical therapist for a lot of years. And I primarily worked with pediatrics. So I was helping children learn how to crawl and feed themselves and walk. So that was the setup for what I'm doing now, just in a more multidimensional way, is that we are having this experience where we are in this body, but we are having an interdimensional and multidimensional aspect of consciousness and union, creating more matter, more love. And I used to think that the matrix was this thing that was outside of me. Like it was the banking system, it was the educational system, it was like all these different systems. But what I really came to find out was that it was the matrix of my body. That's the real matrix, the mother matrix, the matter, right? Divine matter within myself, my soul being the divine matter. And so I really went on a deep dive, and I spent a lot of time in darkness with a blackout mask. And I spend a lot of time even listening to my body with a stethoscope and just really deeply listening to myself. And you can hear all of these membranes inside membranes of consciousness, of deep intelligence within the body. And you can hear the aspects of this very, but almost like sonoluminescence happening within our body, within these membranes. And that's the thoughts that we think, our soul coming through these infinite membranes of the body and having their own type of color and sound frequency that they're continuously singing and communicating in. This is what light language really is. And so we have an infinite amount of light language that's happening through the body. We think of temples as inscriptions on temples as being like so amazing. But this body is a temple, and you have inscriptions of your soul in your genetics in every membrane of your body. And I mean, when you start to discover how magnificent and beautiful you are, like, and it's just, it's infinite, the beauty and the depth and the creativity that lies with loving consciousness and intelligence through your being. All the other stuff in the outside world starts to fall away. And I love what you shared, Sandra, about 0 point. It has that moment of like such beautiful, perfected clarity. And it's like, you're not only listening to yourself, but you're listening to all these aspects of your soul and these other aspects of your sentient timelines and all of these ascended aspects of your being all at one time, and they're in harmony, and it just feels powerful and right and true and good and alive and like union, contentment. And you have this ability to have this divine creativity start pouring through you because it comes from a place of such high levels of love and membranes of collective consciousness of love. This is really the matrix, the mother matrix that we talk about, how we come about with divine matter. And so thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, Phil. So wow us with next level realities of what's going to be coming up here.
Wow, Acurda, you need to come out of your shell one of these days, let me tell you. Oh, man. You know, the things we take for granted, don't you? Like, I so miss chewing. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? Well, much of what I know is a result of a walking experience when I was 6 years old, a car accident that, for all intents and purposes, should have taken me out, but it didn't. What I understand now, a lot of our walking experiences are what I call soul braiding. A soul braid, a contract that where a present incarnate begins to assemble the codes from its next incarnation into its present body and works to fulfill the purposes of its next incarnation in this lifetime. So 4 minutes, I can do that. With restatement of that Emerald Covenant, about 248,000 years ago, give or take, the Lyran Anuhazi, where we go, see, cat-like feline hominids, Syrian Azurites, Sirius from Sirius B, the blues, the Syrian blues, on behalf of those higher, what we call the Branagh orders, where a lot of my information comes from, I believe a lot of our information comes from, we were presented a gift to the present Earth human guardian races that honor the Emerald Covenant. The gift was this massive library of information, not only detailing the history of our time matrix, creation physics, ascension mechanics, the mechanics of actually operating the planetary Templar, the set of stargates that allow you to access the interdimensional stargates, starting with our own set of internal stargates. And they were a set of 12 holographic discs that are known by many, many names. Some people understand them as the Dora Torah, the eternal Dora Torah plates, which held this information. I've seen libraries. I still haven't gotten into the Vatican Library, but I've seen underground libraries under monasteries in the East and the Far East that make the Vatican the Vatican Secret Archives look like your neighborhood library. There is information out there which is absolutely stunning. But these Dora Torah plates, this is one of these keys in the movie The Time Machine in 1960. If you remember that with Rod Taylor, Weena, Yvette Mimieux, takes Rod Taylor into a cave, into a room where she shows him the singing discs, the singing rings. They're these rings that you spin and you get these audio downloads of Earth history and everything like that. Just to make a long story a little less long, I believe that this ascension cycle, this shift to the ages, is a vertical, quote unquote, alignment of interdimensional stargates. And starting in about 1987, timed around the same time as the harmonic concordance, you have this alignment of interdimensional stargates, starting with the Earth and our sun. All these suns, stars have stargates that they're sets of black and white holes, you know? So, well, now you do. So, starting with our Earth and our sun in alignment, and then our sun with fifth dimensional Alcyone, central sun, a star of the Pleiadian system, then lining up with the Sirian central sun, Arcturian, Orion, Andromedan, and then with the cradle of Lyra. And this accounts for a lot of the, I blow my own mind from time to time. And then this is where you get a lot of that solar flare activity. The higher frequencies are coming through periodically, I think starting from about 1987. And these frequencies, what we call the stellar bridge or a stellar activation cycle, has been progressively infusing Earth with higher dimensional wave spectra, causing the frequency seals of Earth's primary vortices, chakras, to open to receive this energy, starting with the Painted Desert in Arizona. The Native Americans there, the First Nations people, know it's not Sedona. Sedona is a very powerful vortex, but the primary vortex is in the Painted Desert, then Jerusalem, Himalayan mountains, north of Tibet, Giza, Machu Picchu, the Caucasus Mountains in Russia, the Andes, South America. These vortexes, chakras begin to open, and it's not only causing the frequency seals of Earth's primary vortices to open. As each vortex opens, the dimensional wave spectra associated with that vortex begins running through Earth's electromagnetic fields, through our electromagnetic fields, progressively raising the particle pulsation rhythms on the planet, our personal rhythms, where Joan talks about the raising of the frequency. Sandra, all of us, we have all these pieces together. And when all the pieces come together, then you have what's called emergence, which is that principle of synergy. When you look at like water, you could look at hydrogen and water and oxygen in isolation. You don't get that characteristic of wetness. But when you put them together, something emerges that wasn't possible looking at all these pieces in isolation. And that's why what the blessing of all of us coming together is. So, and it's important to remember also, just in closing, that any manifestation of digressive consciousness is really, in a way, only here to remind us how rare and special and precious we are. To really understand our true origins, to understand where we come from, why we're here, our place in the universe. I know we'll probably sum up later, but in the conference, I want to talk about the origin of the Christ Antichrist paradigm and how it even relates to something near so close to it, the COVID thing, you know, and our possible futures that we individually as a collective will choose. So I have high hopes. I always remember the only thing that didn't escape out of Pandora's box was hope. And hope always springs eternal. And I think this is the hope. I think the vision that we all see, and if we can share that vision of heaven on earth, then I think that will guide Earth into that probability, you know. And these are just such exciting times, as Deborah's, as all of us in our ways we've alluded to. These are just to be here, to have chosen of all the worlds and all the times to incarnate into, we chose this world and this time to be feathers in each other's wings, to really help all of us ascend individually and as a planet.
Thank you, Phil. Like I said, this is the hot ticket. This is the place to be. Thank you. Thank you for expanding that understanding and vision of what's all that's involved from what you can see. Appreciate it. All right. Tamara, what do you have to share with us that can blow our minds with what's coming up and what we could look forward to? And you're muted. Still aren't hearing you.
Last time, I think
Yeah.
Neil needs to do it on his end.
No, we're good. We hear you now.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I'm streaming on all these different platforms for Portal to Ascension. I think that's why. All right. So my answer has changed again. And everyone, I'm just really digging this whole vibe of where everybody's going. It's so personalized, and we are digging deep. I want to first talk about, when we talk about what's going to happen in the future and so forth. Oh, of course, our consciousness is forming that right now. That's why it's so important that we be a part of things like this, books, events, conferences on this ascension, so we can develop not only individually, but collectively. But when we think about what are the galactics and their part in it versus our individual roles, I think there's a merging that's happening right now. There's so many star seeds, even those that don't want to admit it, that have had contact experience in some way, whether it's through the astral or whether they've actually seen ships or both. And so we have been contacted, and now we have platforms like this that this is normal to us. This is normal talk. You can talk about these things. And so we are growing collectively because it's important, and it's really interesting. I want to take note. There's so many light workers, truth seekers, walk-in star seeds. They never really work together a lot, on and off, but now they understand the intense passion and desire to do so, because we all have a lot to add to it. And either different, fragments of this topic, or it may be of the same topic, but you can already see our answers are very different. But we must come together to unite as one, and we feel this need because our light, our bioluminescence, is stronger when we do come together. I think as what's happening now is people are, just by the sake of being around others that remember, they're being activated. Some people are here just to hold space. And what that's doing is igniting everyone's personal superpower. So we're going to see, I think, times like Atlantis. We're going to see that. We're going to see more of that. There's also going to be confusion with people with, religious dogmas and so forth that don't fit. But we already have that now. So it's not really new. And that's just part of the growth process. But when I look at what the galactics have in common with our personal role, is I don't see it as separate. We are them. I mean, I remember in my early 30s, I was running past life on Acurda, and I was about a 10-foot tall, skinny being, and I was in a temple working with these. In the middle of it, the elements. And it was almost like the fifth element, not quite. It wasn't as sexy as that, okay? And I was an alchemist, and I was creating this energy source for portal technology. It was somewhat like a beacon. And then I've seen where I've been an Anunnaki ruler, where I was trying to sell the whole idea, because I had a friend who's Palladian, owned brotherly love. And by helping another planet that was dying off to grow food, and they said, oh, they'll get strong and they'll come after us. I'm like, no, they're not a warring planet. We don't have any threats here. So some people listened, some people didn't like it so much. And so this has become very real to me. This is our history that we should own and live in, like no separation of time. Time is flattened. That's one thing that you see being in these near-death experience states, that they are collapsed. So I think if we want to expand our consciousness, we need to get out of thinking that past, present, and future, because I learned to do this because I was kind of bored. I did it. Another advantage to an NDE, although I'm not recommending it, okay, because there is pain involved. There's other ways to do it through deep meditation, but you can time travel. You can change the future. You can do these things. They're outside of time. So they're working with us now. I've seen in meditation where we're on the Galactic Federation. And many of you watching and that are here today are ambassadors for the Galactic Federation of planets. And this isn't a one-time deal where we came here to do this. We've been doing this for them eons. Okay. So we just forgot. So this is an exciting time, but there's going to be a lot of dirt kicked up. The cabal's they're going to kind of, have bad behavior. Some things are going to happen. These solar flares, and I keep getting information on that they're creating that, through HARP or whatever they're doing, but they're creating that to create fear and chaos, the basic, their game plan, which it has been. And people, just the average person, is waking up. And so it's not working out the way that they want. Neither did the pandemic. People got a rebirth out of that and realized what was important in life and really did more self-love and really like, why am I doing this? Why am I hanging out with it? It was really good. I mean, not the bad side again. There were some bad things that happened and it hurts my heart to think about it. But there were good things also that happened with that. And we just have to know we're eternal spiritual beings moving forward. Because of this contract has been breached with, I don't know, the governments of planet Earth, if you want to say, or whatever it is, that they're going to get more involved. Now they're upping their sightings to people, and I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to talk about it on Monday. My sightings. I've been on the Galactic Federation a few times in my sightings, and I'll talk about that then. But they're upping. Now, I personally don't think the Miami thing was a real deal. I don't, because first of all, why are blue Arcturians or Syrians, whatever they were, I didn't get a close look. Why would they be going to a mall? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So it seemed like just it seems a bit silly, like Project Bluebeam. So I'm not buying that energetically. It just doesn't feel right. And been coming to people individually for a long time, and then they're going to come out more publicly. So the reason I feel they're going to come out more publicly and help and interact with them more directly is because our consciousness is raising enough to like, hey, I'm into this. And the next thing would be is it's just time. There's a timing for things. It's kind of, you could feel it. Like if you're waiting, to be married one day or you like, or get a graduation thing, it's time. You're ready. There's a time for this. I think it will be in the next year or two. I don't think it's far off. And so we are the ones that will usher this in. So I think it's a time to put on our spiritual big girl panties and work together. It's really exciting. So they have been engaged with us. They're just going to be more publicly engaged with technology and healing technology and other ways to assist us. But we're here now for a reason. And this is not a mistake, and we should own it because it's an exciting time. And we're not alone. We have one another, and we're going to finally meet our true family. How cool is that? Anyway, thank you.
Very cool, I'd say. Thank you, Tamara. Definitely. And that's what this conference is all about, is really allowing our awareness of our galactic families to be a strong part of our life, as well as part of our spirituality and ascension process. So thank you for sharing all that. And Joan, so can you cap this off and let us know what you see coming up?
Oh my God, so much excitement already. Like, I don't even know where to begin. I want to comment on a few things though, as I talk. When I was in Damanhur, some of you have heard Damanhur, but when I was in Damanhur, Falco, the founder, talked a lot about how they altered the timelines and how part of their work was to alter future timelines. And now, 10 years later, since I was there, 15 years later, I can see where they're coming together. And Phil, you talked about these stargates as being sort of aligned, and we can kind of slip up and go up this way vertically. And it reminded me of a vision that I had, kind of a lucid vision I had the first time of contact in the desert, whenever that was. I just started painting angels, and I don't know, I was sitting outside, I was in my car, and suddenly I saw myself at a train station. It was like a Harry Potter train station, if you've seen the Harry Potter films. And I go up to the train, and I'm taken up, and up. And I see massive numbers of people going to the left. And I said, so I obviously knew it was an ascension elevator. And I said, no, I'm not going where the masses are. I'm going the other way. And what I discovered is that then that brought me up to the next level, as Phil mentioned, and then the next level and the next level. But it happened because I said, oh, I'm not following the masses. I'm on my own timeline. And so I began to claim my own ascension process just by saying, I'm not one of them. I'm really making this movement. And so that really has colored it. And also the fact is that the more we put our intention and our thoughts into the cosmic field of consciousness, the more it happens. So when timelines get changed, Dom and her planting in new timelines, and all of us with our consciousness seeing this solar upgrade and seeing that we're on the ascension timeline, it actually makes it real. Just like if we choose to be on the other timeline, we could be. I don't know why any of you would want to be on it, but we put our consciousness in and we create it. So right now we're creating ascension in a certain way. And, I know what's going to happen. If we look at all the films and TV series that are out now, Taken, they all have these weird names, but there's series that have two different dimensions and what happens here. And then there's another world on another dimension similar. All the people are similar. And then there's shows like Taken. We know that they're priming us for something to happen. And the deep state won't let us go gently up above to the heavenly realms. So as long as we're aware that we're here for this transformation and we are the ones who need to hold steady, because we understand it. We understand that there's a dissolution. Like when you're taking a shower, first all the dirt has to come out, you scrub yourself, it all has to come out and go down the drain. And I think that's how it's going to happen for us.
Great, Joan. Thank you. As passionate as ever. I love your enthusiasm. It just builds on everything we've been doing.
I'm hyper now, like off the planet.
So we're going to go a little bit over because I really want one more question, and we'll only have about 2.5 minutes or something like that. So I'd love you to give your top tip of what we as a human being in this human suit right now, but an expanded multiple dimensional being can do right now to support our ascension process, because this is really a personal process that we're talking about. So what's your ultimate tip? Also give us the time that you're going to speak during the conference. So if people want to get more of you, they know when to tune in, and your website where they can go and get more of you, get your free gifts and all of that. Before we go there, I'd like to offer everyone a free gift, which is my Ascension Tips book, which explains the ascension process, because I've studied with all these amazing teachers and many, many more for many years, and I've distilled it into 88 tips in 4 different sections explaining the awakening, the complete transmutation, the soul embodiment, which Sandra was describing so well, and the divine human in the new earth. And you can get that book for free at ascensionnow.org, ascensionnow.org. So I'd like to go back to the panelists, and we'll start with Sandra. And what do you give as your ultimate tip of what we need to be aware of, what we can do for ourselves? When are you speaking, and how can they contact you?
I'll give you 3 top tips. Meditate in 0 point. Actualize unity consciousness in everything you do, think, say, create. Take care of your nervous system, because the energy, of course, comes in through your nervous system. That's the distribution channel for new light consciousness. So make sure you take care of your nervous system, a lot of self-care. And then make sure you actualize those mastery qualities: forgiveness, gratitude, compassion. We really need to employ these qualities of the Sacred Heart. It'll make your journey a lot easier. Me personally, I am speaking Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to be speaking about star presence and contact trajectories, discernment. And you can reach me at Ascension Path, PATH, .com. Sign up for the light letter, and I will send you a crystalline DNA ebook to get you started on your journey. And you'll get a missive from me every single week. I've been doing that for 20 years. So,
and you do amazing convergences online. So you have a huge community. So when you do your meditations, there's a body of really advanced people that are all tuning in at the same time. So it's really powerful to join Sandra in her meditations and her transmissions. Really beautiful.
thank you, sister.
Thank you so much. Okay, Acurda. So what do you have to share with us? When do you speak, and what do you offer, and how can we get a hold of you?
Well, what I'll be sharing on the 14th, I believe around 11 Pacific time, I think that's when I'm speaking, will be the Royal Light Lines and the Garments of Light. And it'll be really a presentation about the light body and how the mitochondrial DNA, the chromosomal structures that are full of light, create our light body and then move into the multidimensional field of consciousness around us, and how we can color bathe. And that's really what it comes down to, bathing in colors and frequencies all the time to help keep our consciousness at a ascended level, and to continue the raising of light through the body and connect the channels of light. You know, we think that there's the crystalline grid system on the planet, but there's also a crystalline grid system, a fascial system, that can be at every state of consciousness. The fascial tissue can be liquid as it can be physical and crystalline. And we have all of these different connections through the body. And so we have a really intelligent, multidimensional crystalline grid system through the body that refracts light, that refracts our consciousness, not only in our body, but through our field. And so I invite people to start color bathing. And I'll give a detailed presentation about what color is as a form of consciousness, and that it's the purest form of consciousness that we then create and animate ourselves with and create matter with. And it's part of the templates of how we come into manifestation.
Beautiful. And when will that take place?
That takes place on the 14th, I believe, at around 11 or 12 Pacific time.
Mm-hmm. Great. And how do they get a hold of you?
So if people would love to get a hold of me, I do all kinds of DNA clearing and recoding. I also do mitochondrial alignments, like I said, color spectrum alignments to create new holographic information in the field. You can find my website at livingyourdnacode.com. And if you sign up for our community, which I do all kinds of writings about DNA and start to bridge science and physics into what I call the divine sciences of our animation of consciousness through our body and the creation of matter, you'll get a recording there of how to go into the first and second strands of DNA and clear ancestral patterns through the epigenetics using light and geometry.
Wonderful. Thank you, Acurda. Amazing.
Thank you so much for being here.
And Phil, so what are your top tips? When are you speaking?
Hi, I'm speaking at on Saturday at 2:20 in the afternoon, which is 6 a.m. for me, like this panel started. It's only like 7:30 in the morning here in Singapore. Thank you very much, Neil and Debra. My tip for the day is to really facilitate, to make ascension even possible, healing, to learn the true meaning of love and freedom, learn the art and practice the art of gratitude and forgiveness. These, I believe, are the most powerful forces for healing in this or any other world. In the Pistis Sophia, it says, and this is direct quote from Jesus through Mary Magdalene, of course, with progressive, and how do we forgive? You apologize. The word apology comes from the ancient root, which means not many. So when you apologize, if you feel you've been violated because of naivete, stupidity, or just plain stupidity, or ignorance, You apologize. Apologize when you reaffirm oneness when you apologize. And a direct quote from the Pistis Sophia, with progressive apology, the soul is rendered innocent of all intensifications of karma, and you are placed in a position of never having been separated from the one, for the oneness. And gratitude, perpetual gratitude for all the gifts of spirit. That's my tip. Remember the Emoto crystals, the most powerful ones, the ones that hold and radiate the most light, are is when you send gratitude and forgiveness. And just think, if you become the living embodiment of love, forgiveness, and gratitude, every crystal and microcrystal in your body will be able to hold and radiate that light. And then you'll be what Jesus, how we refer to all the Magdalens and the Marys, of having the effulgence of light. And you become the healer by your presence alone. Yeah.
Yay.
Gratitude and forgiveness.
Definitely. Gratitude and forgiveness are keys. We all know that, and to put it into practice all the time is the real key with everything.
Yeah.
Gratitude makes.
That's what I'll be talking about. And if I'm really generous, I will share the original recipe for KFC, which I actually really do have.
Oh my God.
Along with the maps of the Stargates and everything. Okay, thank you.
All right.
When it was herbs and spices. Yeah.
In the old days.
Okay, Tamara.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed with everyone's answers. I'm kind of stewing in their responses, and I love how everyone's talking from their heart. So, as for mine, I have some simple things as far as ascension tips. First, it's time for us to be spiritually mature. So, little things. I'm going to start with simple things. I know some of you know this, but I'm going to say it anyway because you don't always do it. It's like eating that fried chicken, Phil. This is something that we need to look at. What are we feeding ourselves? What are we putting in our body? I'm not making fun of you anyway. I'm just saying that we need to be more astute about that, including watching upsetting, things on TV or even YouTube or TikTok. Some of those are they're creepy. Don't watch that stuff. Just turn it. And to be more involved with ascension groups like Debra or Portal to Ascension, and Joan's got a channel. I have the Seeking Heaven channel. These kinds of things, they're more positive. And you need to have your mind to be able to develop it. You've worked so hard, you don't want it to be lowered with that. And so same with people. And I know that you know all these things. So just be mindful. The same thing with eating. We can all balance. You can have that piece of chocolate cake or whatever now and then, but it's balance. And then I recommend that you need to get. I think everyone should get a DNA activation. I got an accidental DNA activation. I had Craig Campobasso on, and it was. I said, "Yeah, I'm supposed to get this thing. My energy's off, and I usually can do it myself." And it was a Palladian in South African, and it was great. It was like 5. 4 or 5 later, but by the second one, I was glowing. So I highly recommend that. It was really good. Saw my Syrian family. It was awesome. So you don't know what's going to happen with the DNA activation, but it's much like seeing a ship. If you see a ship, you're getting downloaded information. So the next thing would be find yourself an ascension tribe. And we've all talked about ideas for that. If you also connect to the crystalline grid, it is the thing that covers. There's a dark density around the earth, but then above it is the crystalline grid. And that's where we communicate as star seeds. Is way better than the internet. And if you want to have a UFO experience, keep in mind, you need to look up. I know they're in the ground and in the water and all that, but on the whole, you need to look up. So, and get a night camera. So you have to start doing those things. And as for me and speaking, I'll be speaking Monday, and that's January 15th. I believe it's 5 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll be speaking about my personal UFO experiences, what the Galactic Federation shit was like. I will be giving a channeled message by Aster. And then I'm going to finish with going into this whole Star Wars theme. And it's called Star Beings, the Modern Jedi. And I'm explaining what that is and how we are the Calvary. And then we're going to have a cameo appearance by a Jedi in training. So I'm going to give you a little mystery sandwich on that. So speaking of mystery sandwiches and mystery schools, my Ascension School is academyofdivinewisdom.com. You can get a hold of me there. And I also I have courses, having one at the end of the month, I think January 30th, on time jumping and dimensional travel and the benefits of that. And I'll be going into actual exercises. And then I do star readings, star origin, earth missions. But if you want, some people don't always want that. If you want just an evidential medium, you've had a lost reading, as well as a life path, you can go to southernbellmedium.com. And then please check out and subscribe to my Seeking Heaven channel. I have guests like Joan of Angel. She has 2 episodes and they're really great. I've had Neil Gar on there multiple times. He's terrific. Debra, and so many people you might recognize. And I try to make that a family community place that we can express ourselves. And I try to promote other star seeds and ascension leaders so people can be introduced to them, because different people gravitate to certain types of people. So feel free to do that. And then finally, I want to leave with a message that Yeshua left for me, and it's really pretty. And he talks prettier than me, I think. He says, "Be the love you were created to be." And if we just did that, this would all come together. And I think that's what we're doing right now. So Debra, thank you for being an amazing host, and thank everyone. It's completely my honor being here with such an esteemed group of people.
Thank you, Tamara, for all your gifts to the world. Wonderful. And Joan, so topping off with your passion for what people can do.
I can't help it because all of you guys excited me so much that it really lifted me up, and it really has. So I hope for all of you, it's lifted you up. And I think some of, to top on what everyone is saying, this is a collective group. So the energy of this panel is more than one person. It's 6 of us, like really kind of digging, in with each other, and it lifts us higher and higher. So part of my recommendations, it's the company that you seek. It's where you're putting your attention. And, I had this experience. In fact, I ran into him, this fortune teller, years ago, 10 years ago, told me, when he looked at my palm, he said, you were supposed to be famous, but you took the wrong turn. Not to worry, it'll come back. But, and I saw him again this weekend, and I had to laugh. I went 10 years later, and I'm on the right turn. And what is the right turn? The right turn happens when you listen to the voice of the divine, when you follow the guidance you receive, when you deliberately say no to the lower frequencies, and you use your discernment to say, I don't want to hang out with those people. They depress me. I think I'm going to go over to the Ascension Panel, or I'm going to come to the conference this weekend, or I'm going to take that maybe it's a little bit more conscious thought. But I have learned that when I pay attention and I say yes to the highest of directions I'm getting, it is taking me to the most outstanding places, and it will take all of you as well. And so I'm speaking on Sunday, and I'm speaking about really how to embody the presence of yourself as a star being, how to really powerfully feel that within you with total certainty and clarity, so that your whole physicalness emanates a high frequency. Then there's no doubt. And then things that don't belong in your field fall away. So I'll be speaking 9:15 Pacific time on Sunday morning, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 p.m. in London. And God knows where it is in Hong Kong. But I can't wait to see you all. And Debra, this is an outstanding panel. All of you guys, I'm happy to see you all. Phil, Acurda, Sandra, Walter. And you can find me. Everything is Joan of Angels, so I don't get confused. Joan of Angels.
Thank you, Joan, so much. And yes, this has been an incredible panel, very high level information, but also what comes through is what we've all said is the heart and love. So for the end here, I'd like us to just pause and really connect with everyone that's listening now, because we're all connected and we're all teachers. And as Tamara said, being in tribe is how we can really evolve together, make this planetary ascension together. So I'd like us to just ground into Mother Gaia, to open up to all the galactics, to all the ascended masters, and open up our hearts and just really feel the love, the acknowledgement, the hope, the passion, and really feel the journey that we're on together, because we are not alone. We have each other. We can find each other on amazing platforms like this. And people are waking up all over the world, waking up to love, waking up to this higher consciousness that we've been talking about, and waking up to a connection with our beloved higher cousins, the galactics, that are here to share with us. They have been through the ascension process, and they are here to teach us and support us if we ask, if we show up, because it's really up to us. So with our hearts now, let's just touch every heart that is on live. And also this goes through the quantum field. So if you're listening to this replay, this heart energy is touching all of you right now, because that's what happens in the quantum field. It's all happening now. So feel your heart expand and feel your heart receive, and receive all the love from everyone. That's really the bottom line of what we're talking about. The ascension process is evolving into that love frequency, which is in the higher dimensions, and coming from the miracles and the grace and the healing and the magic of that love frequency. So we thank all of you that are with us in this journey on this panel. And we celebrate all the inspiration and ahas that you've received by this amazing panel. And we deepen in the love and the knowing that all is well, and we are on the journey together, and it's about love. So thank you all so much, everyone, for being here now. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, everyone that's listening live or in the ethers in the replay. And we appreciate you all so much. Hello, Neil.
Hello, hello. Thank you so much, Debra. And so I'm just going to spend some time. Thank you, guys. I'm going to spend some time now just talking about the event. So panelists, please just stick around if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and full screen myself and talk about the conference. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Debra, so much for this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what we have coming up, everybody, is in 2 hours from now, we're actually going to be going into the last panel of today, which is the extraterrestrial experiencer panel. We had a good turnout for this one. Stick around. We'll be back at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific for the experiencer panel. We have Craig Campoboso. We have a few other people I don't remember right now, but we have like 3 or 4 people, and it's going to be the last panel. And if you're listening to the podcast, then go ahead and click the next episode. That will be this panel, that panel coming up. So I'm going to share my screen and just kind of share with you what we're in store for over the next few days. And then to end this off, I'm going to debut my new song with some cosmic backgrounds, or we'll close it out with some cool music. All right, so here is the conference coming up tomorrow. It's a 4-day event, and as I've been sharing quite a lot, the intention for this is dubbing this next year as a Galactic Origins Year. Well, this year that we're in right now, the Galactic Origins Year, really just to take the narrative into a greater understanding that we're not alone in the universe. Who are these beings? So not only are we starting the year out with the infusion into the timeline of this information, right? Literally infusing it with 4 days, 5 days if we include today, nonstop awareness. But we're also doing this for free or by donation because it's so important. In Portal to Ascension, we have no charge events, we have paid events, but some of the topics that are really like so important that they just need to get out, we just do with no charge or by donation. Like we did a 2-day event on the truth of cancer. Those are the types of things that people need to know this stuff because it's time to really shift the paradigm. So this event is one of those, and it's January 12th, goes up until 15th. You can see some of the speakers here. Geraldine Orozco, Mary Rodwell, Phil Gruber, Rebecca Hardcastle, Sandra Walter, Stephanie Redfeather, Michelle Anderson, Elsa Dillon, Stone Hobbit, Tamara. So around 33 speakers, and the schedule is just kind of giving you all the info you need. We have around 1,300 people signed up right now, and my goal, I want to see if we could hit 2,000 by tomorrow. By like this time tomorrow, hit 2,000, and we're going to be live on like 5 different YouTube channels. We're going to be live on multiple Facebooks, and so not only are we going to have, if you want to join in the live webinar room, interact, be a part of the live experience, go ahead and sign up on portaltoascension.org. And if you want to, just tune in on one of our platforms, subscribe, and click the notification bell on all the channels you're on right now, and you'll get a notification when we're live. And it's going to be 4 days in a row. But if you want unlimited replay access, you need to sign up at portaltoascension.org. So we're starting tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow we have Marissa Starseeded, Flo Karuna, Coach Monarch, Rebecca Hardcastle, and Elsa Dillon. On the second day, on Saturday, we have Stone Hobbit, Sandra Walter, Zoe Davenport, Bridget Raining Holiday, Vox, who's going to be doing some epic sound experiences for us, Phil Gruber, and then Craig Campobasso. Sunday, we have Joan of Angels, Athea Lightcodes, myself, Acurda is going to be there, Raquel Spring, Ben Carroll, Emily Gosh, and then we're going to close it out on Monday with Stephanie Redfeather, Geraldine Orozco, Matthew John, Tamara, and Mary Rodwell. So that is the schedule, and when you sign up, you'll get access to the schedule as well. And since I have you, Sandra Walter actually spoke about divine neutrality, and I just figured that's a perfect opportunity for us to promote a literal conference that we're calling Divine Neutrality Conference that's coming up as well. March 23rd, we have the Divine Neutrality Conference, and go back and listen to what Sandra said, really, if you really want to know what that really represents, or just go to our website under upcoming events, click on Divine Neutrality and read this here. And it's like, how do we get to a place of stillness and not being emotionally triggered, channeling our emotions in a beautiful way, emotional maturity, really, that we come from a place of non-reaction when we see all these triggers in the world, when we see the chaos, and we see the atrocities, and we see what we perceive as evil. And when you're at that place of divine neutrality, we're able to make more informed decisions for ourselves and for how we want to act in the world. So just a quick plug on that. For all of you who are new to Portal to Ascension, you can sign up on our website. You get hundreds of hours of free presentations just by signing up. Under the Watch Now page, you can check out so many different events under the upcoming event section. And you can check out our archives under the Ascension Academy, where we have literally hundreds of events here that we've done. Check it out, see what we have available, because we are pretty much a one-stop shop for consciousness. So if you want to tune into any of that, please do. And we'll love to see you guys tomorrow for the Ultimate Star Beings event. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out with some music here and just say thank you to all the panelists. Thank you for Debra. Taking a look at the chats here. Not only are we going to be doing this event for the infusion of the timeline, but one thing that we have going for us, rather than those that are divide and conquer mentality, is the energy of inclusion is much more of a solid vibration than that of exclusion and division. And when we come together in numbers and we realize there is more than us than them, even though that's a relative statement because they are technically us, right? But when we realize that we can all come together and create a new paradigm, when we come together in numbers and we set our intention and then we meditate on that experience, that's when we actualize the real reality that we want. If over half the planet today just got together and decided that, hey, we want to be in a new dimension, we're aware of it, and we all meditated overnight, right? Like say 70% of the planet at once. This holographic reality has no choice but to reflect that reality for us. So as we come together, we synergize and realize that we have more that connects us than the ideologies, the information, the countries, all these different forms of division, all these forms of inception that have incepted us into a reality where we feel that we're other, right? And we feel that people are others. Even when we look at the star beings, we feel like they're the others when they're beings that don't even look like us. We can't even fathom that experience, right? When we come together in unity, that's when we make real change. And so it'll be great to have you guys a part of this experience over the next 4 days so that we can all be in the same field together and, ultimately create that reality. So thank you all for tuning in. And here we go. I'm going to try this for the first time. We're going to play my new song that I just produced in London a few weeks ago, and it will be out on all major platforms very, very soon. And let's find some cool videos. So we're going to start with some imagery of the Pleiades. Let's do this. And see you guys. If you want to tune in, we'll be back in an hour and a half with the next panel.
Sarviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Intavoakatia Noa Yamuna Watina Kiamupa Ufania Katia Noatina Okambalat kia kumpalaya inamuati na kania muata tsao ya katuwati yana ya makatu inze awakala kumpali atara kumpala kumpala. The road goes on for generations. The travelers will disperse their light amongst all the willingly incarnated souls. But what of the ones that didn't know? Amnesia of the internal endowment to reserve a place in the fifth dimension for themselves, the ego to control, and a better life they shall never know. I welcome you, Dark One, into the lap of luxury full of my pain and woes. We all sold our souls to the devil, but the devil exists not. Negative energy we dub as evil creates the demons of whom we are fearful. Take the D from the demon, put it in front of the word evil, and now you have a personified devil. Our thoughts and experiences creates a creature only exists in the mind. Our desires are one creates a full feature ego that keeps the loyal self everything divine. Intellect. On a perfect understanding we will have of one another. I welcome you, my brother, my sister, my lover, to become one, to help me become one, before reality tears you from duality back in ether's imagination. I'm the ghost of lives past. Generations have descended just to gain these experiences. And I pray the human situation is critical, mind analytical, won't let me forget the fall of angels and demons into this third dimensional world. Is this planet yours? May I hide amongst the lost souls? Hide out for a bit, drink some liquor, smoke some weed, and step outside for a cigarette? Yeah, sure. Here's a social security card, you may live. Reincarnated into a kid and live and give back to the society. When I'm locked in borders, I smolder through the ash comes a horde of abstract thought. Who is not a ghost, a spirit, but just is. An enlightened individual, equality minus elitist political goal, the cynical flow, and pain and woes of shamanistic pagan rituals. We will resurrect the Messiah in all of us. It's time to trust our brothers and sisters. Unity of mind, consciousness, awareness on the rise. The yin-yang intertwined, masculine, feminine lovers intertwined. Spit worse than the chocolate points in my spine. Relentless but still find inner peace, so down the pace of my corrupted mind. Chemtrails, aspartame, fluoride, getting drunk and high. About the consequence, know why am I really here? But now I know is to help humanity steer into the right direction. For every single one of you, I feel affection. We're in the same situation, so erase the awkward moments, trying to walk around and get that bonus. Remember, the Arcturians will be one of the group of interdimensional beings in the near future. The mass landings will help us souls really breathe. So raise your frequency if this is what you want to see. And don't try to break free from the shackles of captivity that we formed in our own mentality, because you and I, we are, and we've always been. Ya muakini azina waha inakni umana tialoa itam wakatina tsamuma kia ufana ianiaka inza uakini atsia uma faeniaka ualeando antekia Anamia,